You ready?
Yeah, let's do this. Hey everyone, it's Brie Milani here with Sky Insurance Brokers on the Greatness Podcast. And today I'm super excited to have Brittany McClellan on the show. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm super excited about this one because I was telling Brittany, most of the people I interview, I pretty much kind of know like their story and how they got in the industry and everything about them because I've worked with them for so long. But you and I have worked together for maybe about 7-8 months now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to have you on here because I want to like get to know you and like how you got in the industry and everything. So I'm excited. I know her and I are roughly around the same age and we have a lot of things in common. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you, your family, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I am newer to the Rocklin area. We moved away from Santa Cruz actually after our son was born, my husband and I, in 2016. And we first went up to Nevada City and decided that was just a little bit too far for us. So a couple moves later, we ended up down in Rocklin. And yeah, so do you want to know just about like personal life?
Yeah, I mean, because I know you have 2 sons.
Yeah, so I have my husband Laif, and then my son Parks, who's 5.
So cute.
And then my stepson Race, who's 11, almost 12.
So you have your hands full.
I do. Yeah.
And your husband is also in the industry as well.
Yeah, he's a broker,
Okay.
real estate broker, yeah.
And how long has he been doing it?
Since 2005.
Okay, so he's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a while. And then I actually have had my real estate license since I was 19. And tried to do that for a while and then realized that sales really is like not for me.
Yeah.
I enjoy like the relationship part more.
Yeah, and I feel like in real estate, it is like it's a transaction. Whereas, well, I guess with mortgage, it is a transaction as well. But you kind of have to like dig deep and figure out the puzzle of how you're going to get the deal closed.
And it's more like, does it work for you or doesn't it? It's not so much like I have too big of opinions when I'm like looking at houses with
Girl,
people.
This is awful.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy this. But my husband's like, you're going to talk someone out of a house if they want because you're putting your opinion on it. So yeah, but he's so good at that.
I'd be the same way.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be in this area and you're like not allowed to say that.
Yeah, he's like very good at like nurturing what the client wants and keeping his personal opinions to himself besides like construction and just like logical opinions of stuff that they might want to think
Yeah,
about.
like consider.
Yeah.
So how is it working together like in this industry and like raising your kids and all of that? Because I've always thought that's interesting. I would assume you two do business together, right?
Yeah, so most of my business, I actually come from a full real estate family.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
My dad owns a real estate brokerage in the Bay Area, and then my husband and his mom have a real estate team up in Nevada City or Grass Valley, Nevada City. So we do a really good job working together. I'm like the fiery, a little bit frantic one, and then he's like very calm and logical. So it makes a good pairing. And we have a lot of fun. Like we love spending time together. So we have like a little home office set up and our desks are next to each other. And, sometimes we have to step out if one person's like on a Zoom call or something. But besides that, we make a really good team because I think we bring like that balance to our clients. And because both of our jobs are flexible, I do all of mine from home.
So
it
nice.
makes it really nice for like our kids. And that was really important to me getting into a career after we had our son was doing something that is flexible with our life.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I should have totally had your husband on here with you because I'm like, that'd be kind of a cool perspective.
Yeah.
Like having him on the real estate side, you on the mortgage side.
Yeah.
So, well, next time.
Another time, yeah.
So I talk about like a little bit how long you've been in the industry and why you got in the industry. I know you
Yeah.
wanted flexibility. I think a lot of people come into this industry with that expectation of like, I want the flexibility. I want to be able to pick my kids up from school and drop them off and do all of that.
Yeah, so that's always been really important to me. I actually started going to art school when I got out of high school, and I was commuting to San Francisco. And even at that young age, I was like, I can see that it's going to be really hard to have a family. And if you get a job in the city, like I was going for graphic design. I just knew that would be a lot to juggle. So that was when I tried real estate because I could work with my family, have the flexibility. And then I just realized that wasn't for me. So after we had our son, I was like, I do want to look into like just having income because I enjoy having that other aspect of life, not just the stay-at-home mom thing. And so I had my husband just ask around because I enjoy assistant work. I'm very organized. I had like my own organizing business in Grass Valley for a little bit, but that was not for me.
Do you want to come to my house and organize
Yeah,
my house?
I ended up just cleaning out like people's garages and lifting things, and like it was dirty, and I'm like, this isn't what I envisioned.
No.
I wanted to be doing like the
You're like
playrooms and the
Pinterest,
bathrooms.
yeah, and decorating them.
Yeah. So I asked my husband, I was like, do you know anybody in the real estate industry that would just want like an assistant or something like that? And so he reached out to one of his lenders, and they were actually hiring employees, loan processors. And they were like, you don't have to have any experience. We'll train you. I was like, sure, why not? It's related to real estate. I'll probably pick up on it quickly. I did not realize how different from real estate loans are. I mean, it's a completely different world. There's so
especially
much
processing.
to it. Yeah, especially processing. Processors are like everything. We could not survive without them.
They're amazing, but wow, it's a tough job.
So they hired me, and it was kind of a fall on your face process. It wasn't as much training as I would need. So it was like learn from failure.
Yeah.
And then I learned that you could get your lending license and, originate loans on your own. And I was like, why would I be sitting here when I could be doing that and be doing that from anywhere? That would work so great with our life. And there's just a lot of benefits for us having that job. Like as realtors, you don't have like health insurance or 401k and things like that. And so for me, I was like, oh, this could just be like such a nice complimentary thing for our family to give us that little extra bit of help, and just for me to have that outlet of something that makes me feel good. So I started in 2019 in October is when I started processing, and then literally decided I wanted to get my license, started studying, passed the test in February of 2020.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Right before it all happened.
Right before it went crazy. And so that was when I actually went to work for an actual like lender that was their own bank. It was not a brokerage. And it was just not the right environment for me. I just didn't feel quite at home there. I think it was a little too salesy, like that sales environment that I'm not comfortable in. And then, so fast forward to Point Equity, we had Nick over, who is my friend. It's our friend Preston's friend, and had no intentions of working for him or anything. And the conversation just ended up, where he was like, you should just check out our office one day. And I went by their office, and it just had the most laid back feel.
Oh, yeah.
Not salesy, super friendly.
Really welcoming.
Yeah, super welcoming. And it's been a year now that I've been there, and I still feel that way. Like I really enjoy the company. So.
And they have some really big loan officers there that you can learn from. And
yes.
I think that's huge because, I mean, they all seem like they're super helpful. Nick especially, like I feel like, me as an outsider, I'm a marketing rep. Hey guys, do you have any business?
Yeah.
And some people are like, go away, lady.
Right.
And Nick was like, hey, nice to meet you. Hello.
Yeah.
Like so welcoming and so friendly. And it's so refreshing because this industry can be full of people who just want nothing to do with you, right?
Yeah. Or make you feel small, which I felt small and just being so new to it. And I told him, I was like, I'm not going to do well in an environment where you're like, you need to be producing. Are you working hard? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, expectations ahead of time. I want to ease into this. I have my 5-year-old. I want to make sure that I'm there taking care of my stuff at home because my husband works full time. And so I'm not going to be like your top producing agent or whatever, but I want to do like a consistently good job, and he and everyone there has given me the room to do that. And
That's awesome.
And I feel like I've exceeded my expectations for my first year, so
I would say
it's been
so.
really good.
I would say you've done a pretty good job.
Yeah. And then I was gonna say shout out to Ben Sweat. I know that you know Ben.
He's such a nice guy.
He's so nice. He's been my mentor, and I am such a handful when I have questions. It goes like there will be days where he doesn't hear from me at all, and then there's days where like every 5 minutes I'm like, and what about this? What do I do here? And he, like, I give him so much credit because when I came to the office, he was like, what do you know? And I was like,
Aww.
I know nothing, because at the first company I started at, things weren't explained to me in like the big picture. It was like incremental things. So I never got to put all the pieces together. Mm-hmm. And at the next company, they were helpful, but I almost felt like things were done for me. And so I didn't get to understand it.
That's tough.
And so Ben literally would sit there and go through it, and I would just like take notes on a Word doc, and he's been so patient. So
and he was fairly new to them.
To that company, but he's
not
been
in the
in loans
industry
forever.
So that's pretty cool though. Like he's coming over fairly new to the company. He's been in it forever, but and then he's willing to help you out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ben. He is such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
I was just like, oh, I'm going to be the new annoying LO. Like so many questions, but no, he's been just so nice and really helpful. And it fast tracked my learning. I learned so much quicker once I moved to Point Equity. So it's been really good.
And we have that like lifeline. Hey,
yes,
I'm
have
still,
to.
yeah. I mean, I've been doing this almost 9 years, and I still have to call into the office and be like, hey guys, quick question.
Yeah.
Because I don't do the insurance day in and day out. But people ask me all these questions, and I'm like, if I did it every single day, I would know the answer, but I don't.
Yeah.
So it's like having somebody just to be like, hey, really quick, or, send them a message. Hey, can you answer this for me?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like we all learn in this industry every single day.
Yeah, because
especially loans.
Every new deal has like such a different element to it. Nothing is ever going to be identical.
Yeah. And so even if you don't know the answer, you're like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
At some point we'll get to the bottom of whatever the question is.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, we'll have to have Ben on here too, because
For sure.
I haven't seen him in a while. I feel like it's been like such a weird year, but I should need to come by and see him.
He just knows so much. So
He does.
if you ever have a question, you can just go to him, and he generally has a pretty helpful answer. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Huge when you're new. I mean,
newer. Huge. And someone that you feel comfortable going to and saying, I know this is such a dumb question and I should probably know this. And then he's like, no, it's not dumb. Like that for me, feeling comfortable asking the questions, because if I'm at a company where I feel intimidated, then I'm going to try to figure it out on my own, and it's going to take me 10 times longer, and I'll just get frustrated.
It might not be the right thing.
Yeah.
It's important to have that, because I think a lot of people that I talk to, maybe that have been in the industry for 10 plus years, I think one of the questions on here is like, what would you tell yourself if you're a veteran? What would you tell yourself if 10 years ago that you know now? And it's like, ask for the help. Or one person actually, she said, she's like, get a mentor, because having that person that can do that. I had it. I mean, it's so important in the beginning, because there's so many things thrown at you that you're like, I don't even know. Yeah. Especially when you come out of the gates just blazing guns.
Just
you're like,
nothing.
or guns blazing, whatever that thing is.
From scratch.
Yeah, but I mean, you have a family of real estate. I mean, you're going to have referrals almost instantly, and so
and
it's
I
like,
did,
and that's huge.
But then you have these clients waiting on you, and I want to have the answer, but I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to take too long. So having people, and so you get to the point where you're like, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm gonna find out, and we'll figure. Like I'm newer, and that's one of my things. I've just been upfront with people. Like I'm newer, but I have such a great team supporting me, so we'll get there.
And no one cares as long as you take care of them and keep them in the loop. As long as you're like, your intentions are good, they're not going to care. Exactly. I wouldn't mind working with someone. You almost want to work with somebody who is newer. I mean, not that a veteran is bad, but like somebody who's like fresh, like you're like fresh out of it. You're going to get to the bottom of whatever the problem is. Yeah. And so, and you're hungry for the business too.
Exactly.
So now you have your full like family and all of that in real estate. Do you, I mean, I know you were right before, you're like, oh, I have to call this agent. So obviously you work with all different types of agents, right? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, my husband, my cousin, my brother is in real estate, and that's kind of like their one source of referrals. It sounds like you kind of like have broadened your horizons. You work with all sorts of agents.
Well, it's funny because when I first started, I was kind of like, we can do this super part-time, not have it be overwhelming, still do the stay-at-home mom thing. And I actually had a guy that wanted to mentor me from a different company, and the first thing he said was like, you'll never make it as a part-time lender. And it turned me off immediately, because I was like, I refuse. I've watched in my family like just that machine of like, work is your life, and I want my work to facilitate the rest of my life.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so I'm not doing it to like be all up. I mean, obviously my clients are a top priority, but like work itself is not my life.
Which is so important.
Yeah. So originally I was like, I am probably just going to work with family. I'll do like this was my thought process getting my license. I'll do like 1 or 2 loans a month. It's not that big a deal. But then I got into it, and I really started enjoying it, and I got more comfortable with it and quicker. My work was taking me a long time before, so I could only handle a couple loans at a time and keep them straight in my head. But now, literally in the last few months, as I've gotten more comfortable, I am like, I want to reach out to more agents. I'm asking people to connect me with agents, and I have lots of realtor friends in the Bay Area. But primarily I work with my husband and his mom, and then the agent I was talking to earlier is also on their team, so I work with her. But no, I am at the point where I'm like, I want to reach out. I want to talk to other people. My family gives me enough that like if I wanted to just take it easy, I could. But I'm having fun, and I want to work with more clients. So.
And you're still able to like be a mom and that's, I'm with you. That was a huge reason. I mean, I've been here about a year and a half now, and huge reason I made a move over here was because of that reason. I'm like, my old company was like just work. And even the company I was with previously was the same way.
Yeah.
And I only had one kid at the time. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, like that's just normal, right?
Right.
And when I had my son, I'm like, wait, I don't want to be that mom that like has to be out of the door at 7:30 and not home till 5 every day. No, like I don't want that. And I like came to my boss and I'm like, okay, so he's like, what can I do to get you over here? I was like, just have like a flexible schedule with me. Like, please. He's like, I don't care if you're in Tijuana working, just do your job. I don't care. Get it done. So, and it's important to have that culture and that the company that allows you to have that flexibility and do what works for you. But you do kind of get hooked with it, right? You're like, okay, I've done X amount of deals. I want to take it to the next level. But like you said, once you get a little more comfortable and you're able to do everything a little faster, you can add that and it's not going to overwhelm you.
Yeah. I told my husband, like, I think when you first start, you're like so excited that you have deals closing. And now I'm at the point where when they start closing, I'm like, oh no, I need to load my pipeline back up. Yeah. And it's just like funny how it kind of reverses from being excited to like, shoot, we need to load it back up. So yeah.
It's part of becoming like a bigger producer.
Yeah.
So now at the company you're at now, we talked about this a little bit, like obviously having Ben and Nick as your leader and all of that is great, but I know we haven't really interviewed a lot of brokers on the show. So obviously like there's benefits of working with a bank. There's benefits of working with a broker, but we're brokers. So we're obviously like pro brokers. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about like Point Equity and like I know what drew you there was probably like the people, but really the company as a whole.
My husband and I had lots of conversations about like ultimately, and I talked to other realtors too, ultimately it makes more sense to be with a broker because of our flexibility for clients. Like say you go to a bank and you don't know what their guidelines are and you find out that their minimum credit score is higher than your minimum credit score and you've gotten in, they've pulled your credit, you've sent them your documents, you've put all this time in, and then you realize that they can't do anything for you. So the benefit of us is if I have a client with like a lower credit score, I'm like, okay, good. Well, then I'm going to look at the lenders that have more flexibility on their credit scores and I'm going to send you to this one. Or for example, like the way that we set up our compensation in this area is hugely beneficial to my clients in the Bay Area because the loan amounts are lower here. So when I have a higher loan amount over there, my compensation can help essentially like buy down their rate. So I have really good competitive rates for like people that live in higher loan amount areas.
Especially like refinancing too right now. It's like that's huge to have that. And you have to be competitive in this market.
Or like I have a client right now that's doing a renovation loan, which is no joke. I was like,
is that your first one?
Yes. And I was like, we'll just stumble through it. We are stumbling, but we're doing it.
They're doozies, that's for sure.
Yeah. But we have one lender that's like fantastic with renovation loans. And I have a renovation specialist who has literally been holding my hand and has been really helpful. So I think the benefits of working with a mortgage brokerage is that I have all these different account executives I can reach out to for different questions, especially with the pandemic this last year, people's income, they've been on unemployment, they've had dips in income. So different lenders have different guidelines on how they want to look at that. And I can reach out to a couple different lenders and say, hey, I'm having this challenge. How would you guys calculate this income? What are you going to want to see? And then I can pick the best lender for that client accordingly and help them get a better loan and better rates and a better experience. Like if we have a more complicated loan and I know that one account executive is going to give us, a smoother experience, then I'll go based on that. So just flexibility on like all areas.
And that's why I kind of tell people about like with insurance. It's like there's the Farmers and the State Farms, just like you guys. There's the Chases and the Wells Fargos.
Yeah.
They have those big names and people love them, right? And that's great. Yeah. But you really have to fit into their box. And if you fit into their box, it's great. Yeah. But most people don't fit into that box. Most people on our end have an accident
Lots
or
of
two,
different
or
things.
Claims, and then on your end, lower credit scores, maybe some judgments, whatever it is. Yeah. So being able to have like really essentially different weapons for you to be like, okay, this client has this type of situation. It's going to fit in this box. You have all these different boxes. And I think, I see both sides, like people that are like, no to brokers, but as a consumer, it makes perfect sense. You're like, okay, you could more than likely get a better rate. And if you have something that's maybe hurting you, you have like a company that'll compensate that. So.
And another thing I was going to say, when you mentioned Chase and things like that, people feel comfortable because they recognize the name. Right. But the thing is, they're not always, but it can be more of a machine. Like you are just another client in their queue. For me, all of my relationships are referral based with the agents that I work with. And so each client relationship is so important to me. Like I will step in and like personally help out, just with certain things, if I see that it's not going the right way, so that the client really knows that I looked out for them.
Versus like 1-800.
Yeah. Like, for example, we had one that it just took a little bit too long and their rate lock expired, and I knew that it was our fault. And so I was able to go to my boss and be like, we need to do right by them and make sure that they get the rate that we promised them. And my boss says, yeah, and they'll work with me and make sure that the client gets that rate. So it's just the relationship is there, and it's a personal relationship. It's not just this huge company that you're working with.
Yeah, just because
talking
you
to a
know
different
their
person
name.
every day. Yeah, exactly.
We went through both processes. So when we bought our first house, we used one of my clients, which was great. Okay. And then fast forward, we ended up buying a new build. So we went through the new build.
Yeah.
It was Pulte Mortgage.
Yeah.
And not a ding against them, but it was awful. The guy was based out of like a whole different time zone than us. I don't even know where he was, somewhere on the East Coast. So he'd be like, okay, I'm going to call you at 3:00. So my husband and I would like take off work early.
Yeah.
We're like, why didn't he call?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
it just was a mess because
Yeah.
you're not dealing with like a person. Like, I mean, you are, but they're like, they don't know who you are. They don't care about you. They're just trying to close the deal and get it over with. So,
and a home is such a big transaction, especially when it's a purchase. Like
Right.
it's like wedding dress shopping. You want to feel, I know that you deal with a bride every day, but I want to feel like I'm the only bride you've ever helped pick a dress. So with a house, like I want to feel like I am the only, or I mean, I want to feel this way when I'm purchasing, like before I got my license, but also for clients, when it's their first purchase, you want them to feel like they understand every penny listed on, that sheet, that there's no like hidden things. And that's a huge part of my business since I'm new, just being upfront about everything. I'm like, here are all the numbers. Like I have nothing to hide from you. If you have questions about anything, like let's talk about it so that you feel comfortable.
Yeah. And that's important, especially with new home buyers. It's it's like with us in insurance. They don't know what am I getting? Why?
It's so overwhelming.
Yeah. I know I have auto insurance, but I don't know, it's just such a different world. And so it's like being gentle with those people that are fresh and they don't know anything, like step by step.
Yeah.
So would you say, like, do you specialize in anything, like first time home buyers? I know you do a lot up in the Grass Valley, Nevada City, which in my opinion is a specialty market.
It is, yeah.
Because it's crazy right now, obviously with insurance, but even the lending portion of it can be a little different just in those rural areas.
Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily have like a specialty yet, but I mean, I've gotten very good at helping people with refinances, whether it's cash out or rate and term. I've gotten really well versed in them. I feel really comfortable helping people choose kind of what makes the most sense. If they want a 15-year or 30-year, if it makes sense for them to buy their rate down, just if they should like roll their closing costs into the loan amount, if they should pay them out of pocket. There's different reasons that you might want to do, whatever the difference, like just the different options. So I've gotten really good at refinances. And they're just so different from purchases because, purchases, especially right now, buyers are out there struggling to get offers accepted and the dollar amounts keep changing. And so it just takes a little bit more working each time, especially with buyers, because I think there's more emotions behind it, obviously.
Oh, yeah. It's way more emotionally driven.
So I'm extremely comfortable with refinances, but I don't necessarily think I have any that I'm like specializing in.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's probably too soon to tell. But I mean, I know what we've worked on together seems to be a lot of those properties in the more rural areas.
I'm definitely, that. And then I've done a lot of Bay Area ones, but those are usually a lot more straightforward.
Yeah. It's not like, oh yeah, and I'm also going to put like another dwelling on the property. And you're like, what? Like,
yeah.
How many dwellings is that now?
My husband is constantly bringing me like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do construction loan? I'm like, just bring me the normal ones.
I know.
I'm not there yet.
You're like, I don't know. And that's like us in insurance is the same thing. Like when we get like a first opportunity from somebody, they always give us like the hardest things. And you're like, just give me the Roseville, please.
Just,
like
easy, give me that,
cookie cutter home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say, and even maybe 10 years down the road when you've done this, you won't have a specialty. It's just really anybody at that point. It is really
anybody, yeah. And I mean, maybe specialty in like clients that I have, because I have been really good at the hand holding with them. I've experienced at brokerages just the way that deals get kind of like slammed through, like dragged across the finish line,
somehow
bleeding. Like, how did we get here? And I am really good with the clients where they're really overwhelmed. The loan is a struggle, but I'm just like, I'm on the phone with them for 45 minutes just chatting because it just makes them feel more comfortable. So I think I've kind of made that my like thing, I guess.
And I think it's fair. Like you've been a home buyer before, so you know the emotions behind it, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna make sure. Like it's scary, it's crazy. You're putting all this money into it, but like you'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's good. And I guess that is kind of like one of the things is like what sets you apart, and that's huge because I think as people get into this industry longer and longer, it's easy to become kind of numb to the okay, another person I'm helping, right? When you're new, it's like each person you're helping, you're like, like here we go.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to say that a veteran doesn't still get that giddy and excitement, but having that kind of specialty, and empathy that you're like, hey, I know what you're going through. We got this.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
It's actually, I found it so ironic because I don't know if it's ironic, but so Point Equity's slogan is mortgage made human. Oh. And and I didn't really like think a ton about it when I first got there, but now like, cause I have it, it's like in my signature in my email, but I do think about it a lot. I really enjoy working for a company that has focused on that because it is like, it's just big and intimidating, and you need a company that is like, let's make this like digestible for you. Yeah.
And I've gone, like I said, I've gone through both experiences, like very good experience. Like felt like we were taken care of. And the other experience where we were like, never. And the only reason we went with Pool Team Mortgage was because they gave us a huge incentive that no one could touch. And we were like, okay, we didn't think anything of it. We're like, okay, it's fine. Oh no, I get it now. Like I get the difference because, and I think now, I mean, let's talk about a little bit about current times. I really do think when people are making offers on homes from Joe Schmo, like nobody, somebody in a whole different state, people aren't wanting that anymore. They want the local, like human person that's going to answer their phone and stuff because they want to make sure that deal's going to close. Yeah. Essentially. Because ours got dragged out. And every day we were like, are we moving into our house or not? Like, it's exhausting. Yeah. And emotional.
Yeah. And everyone's on like high alert, high intensity right now. It's really overwhelming.
Yeah. So what's going on in the market? I feel like I asked this question and every week it gets, we don't do it every week, but like every other week, let's say it gets different. And I feel like, are we seeing a little bit of a shift? Do I say it?
So for a while it was definitely, people have so many opinions right now. They're like, it's a bubble and it's going to burst. Like it can't go on forever. And since my dad is a real estate broker, I went through it as a child in the house when the market burst, and it was so stressful for our family. So my husband and I talk about that a lot. And when the pandemic hit, the phones kind of stopped ringing for a month, and I was like, are we about to go through it? Like we finally, we're so stable right now. Yeah. It's scary. And that made us like just really start focusing on our savings because we weren't sure what was going to happen. But people got comfortable, it picked up, and then obviously it went nuts. Like the home values in the Placer County area and Nevada County area. I know everywhere, but this area has grown so quickly in the last 2 years, and it's gotten so hard for people to get offers accepted. But I would say right now it's calmed down. I don't know if it's slowed down, but I think people are getting offers accepted at least. Like there's a little bit more hope. I had like in June and July, my purchases were pretty quiet. I did a lot of pre-qualifications. I was like, I'm working so much and not submitting any purchase loans like, because my buyers can't get offers accepted. And then in August, I had like 4 or 5 buyers get offers accepted. And
thank goodness.
Finally. So it's moving. My personal opinion and what I talk about like within my family and, the realtors in my life is that it's not going to burst. I think there's so many buyers that saved a lot during the pandemic, and they're ready to buy, but they just can't buy with where things are right now. So if it ever did start to slow down and prices chilled out, I think there's this backlog of buyers that will be ready to buy. Yeah. And
a buyer's market isn't a bad thing. I mean, I feel like a few years ago when I was in this, it was a buyer's market. It was like totally fine.
It was. Yeah. Oh, we sold our house up in Auburn. We only lived there for maybe like 18 months, I think. And the same day that we put ours on the market, 6 other houses came on the market, and we're
never gonna sell.
Closing on our new build down here. It was really stressful. So it's pretty funny to see how quickly that turned around in just a couple of years.
And it does. And the whole like bubble bursting, I get it because you and I are close in age, and my family is more like blue collar workers. So we weren't as affected by it, but my husband's family really was because they do stucco and drywall. And so the building just dried up, right? Yeah. And so I saw it as well. So I think it's kind of, we're lucky in a sense that we saw it as hard as it was in our families. We're lucky because now we say, okay, we're going to save money.
It's taught so much for how we approach it.
So much. It's like, no, I'll just put that paycheck in savings if I can, because I don't want my kids to ever feel like, oh gosh, like is the world ending, you know? And I'm with you. I'm no expert, but I don't think it's going to burst, especially where we live in Placer County.
It's going to keep growing.
Sac County. Yeah. I mean, look at Bay Area buyers.
Lots of people coming
this way.
Tons of Bay Area buyers. And the difference in the way that the loans are being done right now is that you have to have, you really have to qualify. Like you have to have good income, good income history. You have to have a decent down payment. There's so many different factors that go towards people like not losing their homes like they did back then. Yeah,
it was just a different world, and I think it's not good that it happened, but it kind of is because we learned from it, and it's like, okay, well, we're not going to let that happen again. Yeah. If the market shifts, it's not going to be
it's not going to be an
explosion.
It's not going to it's going to mellow, which I think all of us would probably enjoy the market mellowing out a little bit.
I think you're right because it's like even in our neighborhood, you see a house go on the market, you're like, ooh, and then it's gone. Yeah. You're like, okay, and not that we're moving, but it's just crazy. I mean, it's got to chill out.
We all like browsing Realtor.com, and then you browse and there's like 5 houses and it's done. It'd be nice to have just a few more.
I want like 50. Like, that's
I just want to be able to look. Yeah.
I'm with you. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here and just let everybody know kind of how to get a hold of you the best. I mean, phone number, email, whatever the best way. I know you're on social media as well.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of my business through social media, but phone number, it's 831-325-9677. I've kept my Santa Cruz number.
As well.
Yeah. Just
no one cares.
And then my email is Brittany@pointequity.com. So
Perfect.
Really easy to get a hold of me. And I would love to talk to anyone that has mortgage questions or if they're interested in getting pre-approved, but they're like, I'm not ready at all. I love taking buyers and looking at if they need credit repair, if they need to work on like a savings plan for their down payment and things like that. So
that's awesome. Well, if anybody feels like they want to reach out, and I'll also post all your information too when we go live with this, but I really appreciate you being on the show and it was perfect. I'm like so happy you came on and got to get to know you a little bit more too.
Me.
Of course. Well, thanks for listening and we hope everybody has a good day.